tearing down the strongholds, exposing the darkness, wrecking the enemy's plans. Endurance till the end. It's time for the Alphabet Man Live.
Good morning. We have an amazing show this morning, but yesterday I went to the Ark Encounter, Ken Ham's Ark Encounter in Williamstown, Kentucky, and I wanted to share a little video that I did while I was there. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hey everyone, you know, one thing I notice as I'm here at the Ark, and I know that it is it's an attraction, amusement attraction, but let me tell you that walking around here and seeing all of this, it's very humbling to know that millions upon millions of people perished because they didn't want to receive the truth. Only 8 people survived. What's that tell me is that we got our work cut out for us, because 8 people out of millions of people survived, millions perished. And that says that we have our work cut out for us, because if that's not a narrow gate, I don't know what is.
And you know, as I walked around the Ark, and it's all in your face, and it's overwhelming. I mean, there were a few occasions where I just wept. I just sobbed. And I had to sit down and just pull myself together and pray. And Denny Bryan, he sent me this. He texted me yesterday and he says, in the days of Noah, it is estimated there were 750 million to 1 billion people on this earth, but only 8 were saved. When Elijah ran from Jezebel, God said he had 7,000 others that hadn't bowed their knees to bail out of millions on earth. Today, we have just under 8 billion people on earth. And Jesus Christ said, when I return, will I find any faith? The path is very narrow, folks. The path is narrower than we know, than we think, than we even see. We better wake up. We have our work cut out for us. Not just for being that example and reaching out to others and telling people that there is hope, that there is freedom from their bondage, but in our own lives as well. We have to continue to progress. And if we don't continue to progress, then we're not growing in Jesus. See, if we love Jesus, we'll keep his commands, we'll endure to the end, but we will continue to progress. We will continue to grow. We're not going to sit back and say, okay, I got it. I know. I got the truth now. I'm good to go. Now I'm going to go out and make sure everybody knows the truth, because I know the truth. So I'm going to go tell everybody the truth. And not continue to search the scriptures, not continue to be complacent, not to get into a state or a place where we can't be content because we are not progressing, we're not growing. And it's a fearful, horrible place to be, when you would actually get into a position and maybe pass that judgment that only God can pass. And I say that because I remember one day, this is years ago, And I was doing street ministry in Bangor, Maine, and I got in the car and I just talked to somebody and I was like, ugh, I gotta waste my time with that reprobate. And I told him, you're a reprobate. I said, you are spiritually worthless. You're a reprobate. And I got in the car and I started driving home and I said, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Have you not learned anything? Have you not heard? Have you not seen? Do you not have ears? Do you not have eyes? Who do you think you are telling somebody that they're a reprobate? Are you your own God? And that's when I went home and I dove in to Romans 1 and God gave me the revelation of the 3 strikes you're out. And I regretted calling somebody a reprobate. But I was also glad that I got to the place where I was comfortable and I was complacent and I was stagnant enough and I was prideful enough and I was arrogant enough to think that I had arrived, to think that God's favor was upon me and I had arrived. And I didn't have anything else I didn't need to worry about growing anymore. Well, God sure dealt with me. And I'm glad that I got to that place because you know what? It was just about that time that, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I have to keep on pressing forward. I have to keep growing. Got to keep progressing. Because if I don't, I'm going to get in a very dangerous place. I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to get into a comfort zone. See, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. So I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be in his will. I want to be growing. I want to be progressing. And that's what I want for everybody. I want all of us to know the need and the importance of us progressing. And I don't want to go into a 20-minute lesson on progression and growing because I got a phenomenal guest coming on this morning, Lord willing. She makes it in. Lanine Hanaya, Dr. Intimacy. And, you know, I talk about this word intimacy an awful lot because we don't understand. We really don't understand what intimacy is. See, David and Jonathan shared intimacy. Jesus was intimate with his apostles. Nowadays, they have intimate apparel, and intimacy means sex. Were you intimate with him? So, this is really, really deep because lately I've been seeing in scripture, in prayer, and I've been receiving a lot from the Holy Spirit lately about intimacy and about these children and anyone really, but especially the children, because they're growing up in this society. So this society is ingrained in them, and the belief system and the traditions of the society and of this world is ingrained in them. And I'm going to say it like this. See, God places things within us from the very beginning. God and Adam had an intimate relationship. We are created to have intimate relationships one with another. However, when let's say Joe and Jim, when Joe realizes that he has this natural desire inside of him to share intimacy with Jim, he automatically identifies it as sexual, which means it automatically becomes homosexual, which automatically becomes his death style. People are having, and you can tell it when you go on people's Facebook page. Go to every lost person you know. Go to their Facebook page, and you see all these fuzzy, heartfelt, sentimental videos, you know, that just kind of stir up some emotion in you, because they don't even realize what they're searching and seeking. So people are having this natural desire for intimacy, but intimacy has been tainted. Jesus said, I've come to restore that which was lost, not those, but that. What is that? That is the relationship that we were created to have, not just us, but between us and God, but between us and us, between one another. Thank you, Jesus. So when these guys are having this desire to share intimacy with one another, then they come up with the word like bromance, because it must mean that we're supposed to have sex, man, because sex satisfies the lust of our flesh and makes us feel good. But see, it escalates, because that's not what they're really searching for. That's not what the desire of their inner soul is seeking. And so that desire is not being met. And so it escalates from pornography, or from self-love, masturbation, or from engaging in sex with your same-sex friend, or even your opposite sex. It doesn't matter if it's same sex or not. But men have a natural desire to share intimacy with other men, and that's natural, because that is how we are supposed to be as men of God. We are supposed to share intimacy one with another, because you know how you see an old couple, not even an old couple, young couples too, like Coach and Michelle, they can finish each other's sentences. I'm sure Paulie and Mike are that way. Vicky and Ricky, you know, I'm sure, and I know a lot of people like that. Me and my mom, we've lived together so long. My sister even said it one time. She goes, you and mom are like an old married couple. You could finish each other's sentences. But do we see how twisted intimacy has become? Because me and my mother were compared to an old married couple, because people think that only people engaging in sex should have that type of relationship. That's not the truth. The truth is that me and my mother have intimacy because, one, the one true living God dwells within each of us. Two, we understand it. And three, we love one another. So we share an intimate relationship, because intimacy does not mean sexual. If I was to go down the street and stand on the corner and say I have an intimate relationship with my mother, oh Lord, I can't even imagine what people would think. And that's heartbreaking. That's disturbing. That is very disturbing, because folks, intimacy is not sexual. Intimacy is the very core of who and what we were created for. If we start teaching these young people that there's a difference between having an intimate relationship and having a sexual one. Imagine the eyes that we could open. And so we're still waiting for Lenine to come in. And so in the process, because she goes by Dr. Intimacy, that's how I met Lenine. Lenine had a radio show in Dallas, Texas, called Dr. Intimacy. And at first, sadly, when actually the guy that worked with her, when he called me and said, well, Dr. Intimacy, I'm like, I think you got the wrong guy. Because sadly, I thought intimacy sexual. And that's it's just not what intimacy is. Okay. And so Lenine is Dr. Intimacy, the surgeon for your soul. 21 years of focused biblical studies. And so now she's developed this brand of helping people discover and to reconstruct their core, which she calls soul sculpting. Lenine facilitates soul sculpting sessions, in Dallas and online, through which she provides profound and applicable insights on personal, spiritual, and interrelational intimacy that leads to transforming core reconstruction. Lenine is also the two-time award-winning radio host of Inspired Intimacy Talk Radio. That is how I met Lenine. And I wanted to share a video, but I think what we're going to do is just share the link for it and maybe a few minutes of it, because we are already past our halfway mark. And so, Jared, can you run the video? Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I just wanted to give a quick update about the show tonight. I'm really excited about the show tonight. I was talking to my guest, David Arthur, who is a former gay and transsexual. He is a natural-born male that used to live as a female. And I had a phenomenal conversation with him. We're going to be talking about transsexuals in the church tonight. But when I was talking to David, I'm definitely excited about the topic, but I'm excited about this man of God. Talking to David, it was really difficult for me to maintain my composure. I was so emotional speaking to him. And it wasn't just the power of his testimony and the glory of it. It was the freedom that I felt coming from him. He is so free that I was just overjoyed at the freedom of the Son that emanated from this man's being. And what really excited me about the freedom that David expressed in his testimony is that, unfortunately, I just don't meet a lot of people that are really, really free. I meet a lot of people that are born again.
I just wanted to share that because this is, me and Lenine and I had one conversation and we connected on this level and on a level that would eventually 2 years later be taken even further when I went to Dallas and I was able to witness about my experience with the incubus succubus attack. And come to find out.
You hear me?
Pardon?
Okay. I've been on for a while, but my screen is black. I don't know why I cannot get my screen to show anything. But I'm here.
That's all right. We can see that you're here, and we have on this. Everyone else is going to see the photo from your website and your pictures of your books as we talk about them.
Okay.
So what I wanted to say, yeah, you're going to see a blank screen. You're going to see what the huddle sees, and not what everybody else sees. So what I wanted to say here is that when I went to Dallas and I had lunch with Lenine, I was able to share about my experience opening up another door to our relationship. And come to find out, she's written books on that very topic because she's studied this, because it happened to her. And so I couldn't wait to get home and get the books. And when I got the book, I see STDs, sexually transmitted demons. And I was like, wow, that's what I've been calling it for years, because when these children are molested or recruited, as the movement calls it, they receive these sexually transmitted demons. And that's why deliverance is so important. So without further ado, I want to bring Lenine in. Golly, we got like 8 minutes left. So it is all yours, 8 minutes. Powerhouse Lenine Hanaya. Come on in, sister.
Hey, good morning. First of all, I'm sorry I'm running late. I was having all kinds of technical difficulties this morning, and I thought we went until 9 a.m. I thought it was like a whole hour. So I will come back and make this up. But I'm just thrilled to be able to join you this morning. You have been very near and dear to my heart, David. Ever since I met you, the impression was immediate and everlasting. It's just like one of those things that are knit together in the soul when you meet somebody of a kindred spirit. And you've been such a blessing to me. What did you specifically want me to cover in these 8 minutes?
How about you try to give like a condensed testimony? We are going to have you back. You know what? We're going to schedule something with you today for maybe next week. We're going to have Lenine come back on, and because I want her to have the entire 30 minutes, because this sister is just, I'm telling you, she's a woman of God, and she is definitely led and guided by the Holy Ghost. So you have at it. This is your time. Talk about your books. Talk about you. Give an intro. You know what? Give them a teaser of what they're going to get in the next week or two when we schedule you to come back on.
Okay, great. Well, like you said, like you read in my Bible, I've been studying biblical sexology and intimatology for the last 21 years. And intimatology is a phrase that I've actually coined. It doesn't exist in any university, unfortunately. I heard you discussing your intimacy with your mom, and like I know to so many people that sounds so wrong. It's like, ew, he's intimate with his mom. You know what I mean? But that is the shame to the biblical community, the church community, to the educational communities, that there is not a dedicated field to study human intimacy, which I define as core to core interaction between human beings. So that is that soul to soul, heart to heart interaction, which has nothing to do with the physicality or sexuality of human beings. One thing that I say is that sex does not create intimacy. You can't use sex to create intimacy. What sex does is it reveals pre-existing intimacy or exposes the lack thereof. And so sexual intercourse never creates intimacy. It only reveals intimacy that exists or exposes intimacy that did not exist. And the most intimate moment that most human beings will ever have in their life, or I would say the first intimate and probably one of the most intimate moments that human beings will ever have, and it is the most non-sexual thing you can imagine, is that moment that a child is first born and that child is placed in its mother's arms. And that first little kiss from mama, that stroke on the cheek, laying its head against its mother's breast. And, you know, I have experienced this 7 times. I've given birth to 7 children. This is like the most intimate moment in the world. Like, I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. That is the truest, purest picture of intimacy you can ever imagine. And I'd love to give people that point of reference, because when you say intimacy, even when I'm introduced as Dr. Intimacy, people's minds immediately are inclined to think sexuality, are inclined to think perversion. And that is something that the enemy has done to our culture, to our society, to us as a body of believers. He has taken away from us the understanding of true intimacy. And so that if it becomes this sexually perverted thing to us, then guess what? We will not pursue it. As born again believers, we're not going to pursue intimacy outside of marriage because we think it's sexual. And if you do pursue it, then you're pursuing it as something only sexual. And so what this has done, David, is it has warped our understanding of our intimacy with Yahweh God, our intimacy with one another as family members, as a body of believers. The church is one of the coldest places on the face of the planet. It is one of the coldest, least intimate places on the face of the planet. It has, and you know, and I love the church, and I hope I don't offend anybody saying this, but it is one of the most disingenuous places that exists. And, you know, on any given Sunday morning in a church full of, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, almost nobody knows anyone. There is no intimacy. There's no genuine connection. You have your small cliques of the praise team who know each other, and maybe the paid pastoral staff, and you have thousands of people coming and going who never know each other's names, don't know each other's birthdays, don't know each other's children. And this is not how it was designed to be. This is not what Messiah intended for us. When he said he was coming back for a single bride without spot or blemish. We are to be one body, jointly fit together. And so my passion is to restore a true understanding, the truth about what intimacy is. Intimacy with God, intimacy with yourself, intimacy with your family, intimacy with the world around you. I want to restore that because it's very important for us to have that understanding to properly and authentically connect with the living God who created us. We must be intimate with him. And in the scriptures in John 8, and I believe it's 32, when Yeshua says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." That word "know" in the Greek is actually the same word that's used for sex. Yes, if you look that up in the Greek, that word "know" means to be sexually intimate or to connect with someone as one. And so when he said, "You shall know the truth," he's saying you shall be intimately acquainted with the truth. You shall become one with the truth, not just know of it, not just memorize a few scriptures, not just hear your pastor preach it, but you have to be intimately acquainted and become one with that truth in order for it to set you free. And so that's why people go to church Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday for decades, and they're never free. Why? Because they never become intimately acquainted with the truth. They never become one. They never intercourse with the truth. And why? Because we think that intimacy is a dirty word. We think it's
That's right.
We think it's sexual. So did I talk past my time?
No, it's good because it's like David and Jonathan, they were intimate, and now that intimacy being twisted and tainted and perverted now has given the LGBT movement a foothold with their Queen James Version Bible that make David and Jonathan lovers. And so we are going to schedule Lenine either within the next week or two if it fits in her schedule. And so y'all had a teaser today, and this is what it's all about: intimacy. And we're going to be diving into this intimacy because as the Lord reveals this to me, as I'm getting into the schools and getting to speak to youth, and we need to teach them that this natural desire they have for intimacy doesn't mean sexual. And
Right.
that's where everyone's so screwed up at right now.
Yeah.
Is they think this natural desire they have for intimacy is sexual, so it must mean that they're homosexual, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. So we are out of time. And Lanine, thank you so much. And
Yeah,
we
thank
definitely
you.
look forward to having you back on.
Okay, thank you so much, and we'll work out these technical difficulties so you can see me next time.
Yes, we're gonna you and Jared we'll work that out. But you guys have a blessed day, and Lord willing, I will see you in the morning. Peace.